What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for a couple of quick conversations about some things that I found interesting this week. So let's talk about Jonah Hill first. So Jonah Hill, he is a very well-known actor. He was in the movie 21 Jump Street. He was also in the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, The Wolf of Wall Street, I think. So he's a pretty well-known actor. Well, his past has come back to haunt him this week. So first it started with his ex-girlfriend, Sarah Brady. Now, Sarah Brady is a professional surfer. She used to date Jonah Hill not too long ago. And she went on her Instagram stories and she talked about how when she was in her relationship with Jonah Hill, he was very emotionally abusive, according to her, allegedly, right? She said that not only was he emotionally abusive, but he was also a misogynistic narcissist. She said that he had told her that if she was surfing with other guys, he was going to break up with her. He didn't want to see her posting pictures of herself in her bikini or in her bathing suits. And then she showed a plethora of text messages between her and Jonah Hill to prove how controlling he was as a partner. So Jonah Hill surprisingly didn't respond to any of that, but he had to respond to this. So recently, Alexa Nicholas, she's 31 years old. Jonah Hill is currently 39 years old. Alexa Nicholas, she's a former Nickelodeon child actor. She was on the show Zoe 101, and I think she was on that show with Britney Spears' sister, Jamie Lynn Spears, but I'm not sure. So Alexa Nicholas, she came out and said that Jonah Hill had assaulted her when she was only 16 years old. So she talks about this time when she was 16. She had gone to a party with a group of friends. This party was hosted by Justin Long. Now, I know Justin Long from I think like the 90s or early 2000s. He was an actor, but I think he started off in commercials or something, and then he met Drew Barrymore, and then he started dating Drew Barrymore, and then his career completely skyrocketed. I think that's how it went, but I'm not 100% sure. It was one of those stories where he wasn't really well known, and then he dates this, big time Hollywood actress, and his star also began to rise. That's how I remember Justin Long. So Justin Long, hosted this party. This is around 2008, 2009. He hosts this party, and Alexa Nicholas is invited with a group of her friends who are all around the same age as her, about 16 years old. And she said that when she was at this party, Jonah Hill asked her to step outside for them to smoke or share a cigarette. So she goes outside, but no cigarette is produced. And the next thing she knows, Jonah Hill slams her up against the wall or slams her up against the door and shoves his tongue down her mouth. She said that it was not consensual. She was trying to resist him, so on and so forth. And she says back then, it's not the same as it is now. So she didn't have the wherewithal, to call the police because number one, she was underage at an adult party smoking. And also, I think she said that they were also drinking alcohol. So she didn't want the law involved or whatever, but she did definitely feel violated. So to this accusation, Jonah Hill did respond. So through his attorneys, of course, he completely denied the allegations. And he said that through his attorneys, Jonah Hill stated that her allegations were a complete fabrication. Absolutely 100% false. Not only did Jonah Hill respond, but Justin Long, his reps, stepped into the ring and they also responded. And what they said was that Justin has no knowledge of what may or may not have happened concerning Miss Nicholas. So now I can see why celebrities don't want their children to go into the entertainment business, because I don't see how any child actor, child entertainer, child star could maneuver through the jungles of Hollywood without being affected in a negative way somehow. Because the stories that are now coming out of people being violated when they were minors working in Hollywood, it's never ending. It's just a constant story after story after story. So when I see celebrities, I used to think whenever celebrities said, well, I would never want my child to follow in my footsteps, I would never want my child to go into the entertainment business, I never quite understood why. I was like, if it made you so successful, Why wouldn't you want your child to pursue their dreams and becoming an entertainer? But now I see why. Because behind the scenes, Hollywood is a very dark and scary place. It's dark and scary enough for adults, and it's even worse for children. And I feel like even when the parents have the best intentions and are protective, I still think that it's still possible for these kids to somehow still be victimized in some way. Not necessarily sexual all the time, but it could be financially violated. Their trust can be violated. Definitely there's stories about people when they were child actors and how their self-esteem was affected because of what casting directors and producers say to them when they show up for these auditions. So now I can totally see why. But Alexa Nicholas says that she stands by Jonah Hill's ex-girlfriend, Sarah Brady, and says that, she believes her, and she came out with her own story about Jonah Hill. And when you read the comments about these articles about Jonah Hill, people in the comments also claim that Jonah Hill might not be the nice guy that he portrays on camera. I don't know too much about this man behind the scene, but man, he is really going through it. Now, Jonah Hill, he is now dating someone by the name of Olivia Millar. They welcomed a baby recently. I think the gender and the name is unknown. His ex-girlfriend, Sarah Brady, said of the birth of his child that she hopes that he had a girl so that his daughter can teach him how to be a true feminist. Moving on from there. Britney Spears, 41 years old. So Britney Spears, yesterday on her TikTok and also her Instagram possibly, but I saw it on her TikTok, she made this announcement that she had some big news to reveal today. And so I was like, what could she possibly have to say? People in her comments were saying, well, I hope you're going to be releasing new music. Well, she revealed today that she's not releasing new music. She is releasing a new book. So her memoir titled The Woman in Me is set to be released October the 24th by the publishing company Simon & Schuster. This is one of the biggest book deals of all time. It's valued at $15 million. Simon & Schuster said that this book, in terms of its worth, comes only second to the Obama's books. So in this book, she's going to talk about her childhood, how she was this little girl with big dreams and how her dreams came true. She's going to talk about her breakup with Justin Timberlake, her conservatorship, and how she found true love with her current husband, Sam Asghari. Honey, the only thing that the people want to know, they want to know the titillating details of your life and what you got to say about everybody else, what you got to say about other people, what you have to reveal or expose about other celebrities or about the family members that we know of, like your sister, your mom, your dad, etc. That's the only thing people are interested in. We understand that you were this little, wide-eyed girl who had these big dreams of becoming successful. But to tell you the truth, Brit, ain't nobody concerned about that. People want the juicy details of your life and who are you going to expose in your book. That's the only thing that anybody really cares about. Moving on from there, let's talk about Larsa Pippen, she's been stressed out. Michael Jordan has stressed the hell out of Larsa Pippens. So as we all know, Larsa Pippen, 49 years old, is dating Michael Jordan's son, Marcus Jordan, who is 31 years old. Michael Jordan is 60. So Larsa is closer to Michael Jordan's age than she is to her boyfriend's age. So Larsa, Larsa is one of those people, and I've seen her on, The Real Housewives of Miami. She comes to me, she's fake as baloney as far as I'm concerned. Larsa Pippens is one of those people that lives on social media. Her whole entire existence is on social media. All she cares about is the perception of Larsa Pippens, not who she really is. All she cares about is what do people think of her and what she presents online. She's very fake and phony to me. So she recently, she's been bragging about how, she's found this true love in Marcus Jordan, and how both her family and Marcus Jordan's family support their relationships. She even was on the Tamron Hall show earlier this year, bragging about how the Jordans absolutely are in support of her relationship with their son, Marcus Jordan. Well, a couple of days ago in Paris. Michael Jordan was leaving some event, dinner, whatever. And of course, there's like a mob of paparazzi around him. And as he's walking towards his car, somebody shouts out, "What do you think about your son dating Larsa Pippen?" No, the question was, do you approve of your son dating Larsa Pippen? And like kind of like real flippantly over his shoulder, he said no. And he got into his car and sped off. Okay. So that has been the talk of the town recently because Larsa has said previously that they were in support of their relationship. So she got on her podcast. She's got some podcasts with her boyfriend, Marcus, and she was stressed the hell out. She was worried about people thinking that she was a liar because, you know, Jordan has disclaimed what she had said earlier. And so she's like, I don't know why he said that. People are going to think that I was lying, but you know, it is true. And she's talking to her boyfriend who's doing the podcast with her. She says, but it is true that our families just want us to be happy. Okay, your family wanting each of you individually to be happy is different from the Jordans completely 100% support me dating their son. Okay, that's two completely different things. They probably do. Of course, they want their kid to be happy, but they want their kid to be happy separate and apart from you. So what are you talking? What you're talking about, Larsa, is like, you know, apples and oranges, completely different. So she felt embarrassed because people were calling her out for being a liar. Oh, we thought you said that, you know, Michael Jordan was supporting you dating his son. That man does not support his son dating Larsa for several reasons. Number one, she was married to his ex-teammate and I guess now ex-best friend, Scottie Pippen. Number two, she's so much older than him, which I know it's a double standard, blah, blah, blah. Older men can date younger women, whatever. But there's still that double standard is still there. Number three, Larsa to me is just, she's cut from that Kardashian cloth. Just one of those people that lives on social media. All they want to do is just take pictures. They want brands to support their lifestyles. She has an OnlyFans where she claims that the only thing she does on her OnlyFans is show her feet, and she's making like tens of thousands of dollars per month doing that. So either way, whatever it is, you're still selling your body online. Okay. Even though you're selling your toes, you're still selling your body online. So she's just one of those people that seems very surface, superficial, very, fake. She's 49 years old. You would never would have guessed that this one was 49 years old. Not because she don't look 49, but because she looks every bit of 49. But because of the way she acts. She acts like a 16-year-old. Okay, she acts like these young girls the way they act when they get on social media. You know, the duck lips, the poses that she thinks that are so cute and adorable. Like, girl, what do you have to offer that is of substance? Marcus Jordan is not that young either. He's 31 years old. He's a grown man. Like, what do you... Anyways, I'm not even going to question what he finds attractive in Larsa. He finds something there. Maybe behind the camera, behind the Instagram photos, behind all of that. Maybe she's, you know, a very deep, intellectual type of woman. I wouldn't know because the only thing she shows us is duck lips and butt injections. So I'm not surprised that Michael Jordan said what he said. And I don't even think her children approve of this relationship. And the reason why I say that is because on The Real Housewives of Miami, I watched it on Peacock. I watched the entire, I don't know what it was, season 3, I think, on Peacock. So I don't know if that's what's showing now on Bravo or what, but I watched it on Peacock last year. And I remember seeing, or maybe earlier this year, I don't know. I remember seeing there was a scene where she was FaceTiming her son. And the son was with his father, Scottie Pippen. So they didn't want to talk to her. Her son didn't want to talk to her. And so like she was begging her son to talk to her. And he was like, Mom, we can't talk to you right now. We're doing something. Me and Dad were doing something. And they were either watching a movie or playing basketball or doing something fun. It wasn't anything like, it wasn't like homework or anything. So he kept on telling us, Mom, we can't talk to you right now. We're doing something. Like he just wanted to get her off the phone. And she was just begging for his time and attention. I really don't think that her kids even approve of this relationship that she has with Marcus Jordan. Not so much because maybe her older children might have hung out with Marcus or whatever, but just because, I mean, your mom is out there looking real silly, chasing after this guy, posing doing these Instagram pics with this. It just, the whole thing is just silly and ridiculous. It's just a circus to me. So Larsa, relax, girl. Nobody's taking your relationship with Marcus that seriously. Don't be concerned about what you're almost 50 years old. Why are you so concerned about your boyfriend's family's approval? Why? You're almost 50 years old. You've been around the block so many times. So, anyways, moving on. Beyonce. So this is an interesting story. Beyonce, we all know that her parents' marriage broke up because her father, Matthew Knowles, had an affair on her mother, Tina Knowles. And Beyonce and her sister Solange, they very quickly took the mother's side, and now they've been estranged from their father ever since the divorce. Matthew Knowles used to be Beyonce's manager, and she cut him off from managing her career when this affair broke out. So she's been completely 100% on her mother's side, wants nothing to do with her father. I think her and her father are probably cordial, but it's not the way that it used to be ever since, he had this affair. So his former mistress, Alexandra Wright, says that her son, Alexander Knowles, who is Beyonce's half brother, he's 13 years old, she comes out and says that her son wants to know why Beyonce doesn't love him. Girl, are you for real? You expect Beyonce to form some type of a relationship with, yes, this is her half brother, but this is the child that was created from the affair that her dad had on her mom. And it seems like Beyonce is super close to her mother. And you want her, and I understand it's not the child's fault, okay? It's not the 13-year-old's fault. He didn't ask for any of this. And there are so many situations where siblings are getting along or have gotten along, even though the other sibling is the child of an affair or whatever. But we didn't see that in the family of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Because even with Arnold Schwarzenegger, his children with Maria Shriver, they don't want anything to do with the child that he had with the housekeeper that he cheated with on Maria Shriver, the child that came out of that affair. So, okay, Miss Alexandra Wright, girl, put the past behind you. Don't worry about Beyonce, because Beyonce for sure ain't worried about you, and just go on with your life. Now, supposedly she's kind of destitute right now. She was living in a trailer park. She was on public assistance until Shar Jackson of Moesha fame, and also one of the baby mamas of Kevin Federline, who was the ex-husband of Britney Spears, Shar Jackson came out and said, oh no, she didn't come out and say it, but the report said that Shar Jackson has taken in Miss Alexandra Wright. She's helping her financially in some shape or form, either by offering her a place to live or giving her money or doing something to help out this woman. So she's wondering why, she says that her son is wondering why Beyonce doesn't love him. The question is, Miss Alexandra Wright, the question is, why doesn't Matthew Knowles love his son enough to get his son's mother out of poverty? Because Matthew Knowles, even though he probably was not the music producer he once was, or the music manager that he once was when he was managing Beyonce's career, I'm pretty sure he still has a cute coin in his bank account. So the question is, why doesn't the father love his son enough to help out his mother so that the son isn't living in poverty? Where's the child support checks, Miss Alexandra Wright? Is Matthew Knowles on child support? And if he is on child support but not providing, what are you doing to enforce that? Those are the real questions. Please don't worry about Beyonce, because Beyonce ain't worried about you. Moving on to Tina Knowles. It looks like it's just a big old money grab as far as I'm concerned. Moving on to Tina Knowles. Tina Knowles, 69 years old, the mother of Beyonce Knowles. Well, she was recently robbed of more than $1 million in cash and jewelry from her Hollywood Hills home. The thief broke into her safe, wiped it out clean. The theft was discovered by a worker, and during the time of the theft, Tina was out of town, thank God. So obviously it seems like, well, a lot of people are saying that it's an inside job, that it's someone that she knows, because they have to know that you have a safe to begin with, and they have to know that you are out of town to have access to the safe, and to break into whatever. So I do believe that it's an inside job. I totally believe that it's an inside job. My question in this situation is, Miss Knowles, why are you keeping cash in your house? You're a very well-known person. evidently someone is planning and plotting against you and robbing you blind. Why are you keeping cash in the house? I don't understand that. But I guess she thought that her house was safe. You know, she trusted the people that she allows in her home, but you can never trust anybody too much when there's that type of money laying around and jewelry and whatever. So law enforcement is supposedly investigating the situation. They are reviewing surveillance cameras to see, you know, who was in and out of her home, in and out of the room that the safe was located in, and hopefully they're able to find who did this and deal with them accordingly. LeslieVanHouten, I think is how you pronounce her name, 78 years old. LeslieVanHouten, she was convicted in 1969 at the tender age of 19 for the murders of Leno and Rosemary LaBianca. Why are we talking about LeslieVanHouten? Well, she was one of Charlie Manson's, is his name Charles Manson? Charles Manson's minions, followers, whatever you want to call it. So as we all know, back in the 60s, Charles Manson was responsible for the killing of several people. And one of them was the famous Sharon Tate, who was at the time, I think, the pregnant wife of Roman Polanski, a very well-known filmmaker. So Roman Polanski, that's a whole nother situation in itself. But Sharon Tate was married to Roman Polanski at the time, and she was murdered by Charles Manson's followers. Now, Charles Manson, I guess, I don't know if he was like a cult leader or what you would want to call it, but he had these group of young men and women who kind of like treated him like he was their leader or their god, and whatever he said, they did. So all of the people who were involved in these killings were prosecuted, found guilty, convicted, sent to prison. Charles Manson ended up dying in prison. So LeslieVanHouten, she was 19 years old when she was convicted. I think she was given a life sentence for the murders of Leno and Rosemary LaBianca. Mr. Leno LaBianca was a wealthy grocer, and somehow or another, these Manson followers entered their home and murdered both of them. LeslieVanHouten said she kind of recounted what happened that night. She did an interview, I think, back in 1994, and she recounted what happened the night of the murders. And she said that they separated her and whoever else was with her. They entered their home, they separated Leno LaBianca from his wife Rosemary LaBianca, and she was in the room with Rosemary LaBianca. And while Leno was being murdered and Rosemary could hear the horrific sounds that her husband was making as he was being stabbed to death, she began calling out to her husband. Now, LeslieVanHouten says that when she heard the wife calling out for her husband as he was being murdered, she said that she realized at that moment that this couple really loved each other. So I guess maybe she was having second thoughts about harming Rosemary LaBianca, but she said that one of Charles Manson's followers that was with her handed a knife to her, shoved a knife in her hand basically, and told her to do it, to go ahead and start killing Rosemary LaBianca. So the person told her, this other follower told her that Charles Manson wants all of them to get some type of, to get some type of dirt on their hands. He wants all of them to be responsible for the killings of these people. So she takes the knife and she begins to stab Rosemary LaBianca, and she stabs her a total of 16 times in the lower abdomen and back area. So she got convicted of that, and I think she was given life in prison, but she was released after 53 years because after so many years, they come up for parole, and her parole was constantly being denied. So finally now, Governor Newsom of California decided to approve her parole, and so now she's released after 53 years in prison. So my question is, you come out of prison after 53 years, you're 78 years old. What do you do now? You're 78 years old, so most likely a lot of her family members have passed on. What do you do with your life now? Because releasing someone from prison after 53 years, it's like, someone releasing you on on some planet somewhere. Like, you don't know what to do. You don't know what to do there. So she's being released out into the free world. She's gonna have to now figure out a way to support herself. Technology obviously has vastly changed. The way people talk has vastly changed. Society is not what it was back in 1969 or whatever year it was when she was convicted. And I don't know if they're just going to let her out there and let her figure it out on her own, or if they're going to give her some type of social services to help her acclimate back into, society of 2023. She's 78 years old. I'm beginning to wonder, maybe was it better for her just to be left in prison, in an environment that she's familiar with, that she may be more comfortable with. I don't know. I'm really interested to see and to find out how she's going to live her life now after being incarcerated for over 5 decades. Moving on to Aretha Franklin. Now, I promised y'all yesterday that I was going to give you an update on the case going on about her estate. So Aretha Franklin, like I said yesterday, she has 4 sons. She had her first 2 sons when she was only 12 and 15. Now, I read her biography a couple of years ago, and in one of her biographies, it stated that her 2 oldest children were probably fathered by her own father. Now, Aretha Franklin was very, very, very close to her father, extremely close. When her father was old and he was shot. Her father was shot, and he needed like constant care, and Aretha Franklin made sure that he had that constant care. She took really good care of her dad in his last years on earth. But the rumor in the biography, her biographer stated that there was this rumor that her 2 oldest children that she had at 12 and 15 years old were fathered by her own father. And she has never said, I don't think she has ever said exactly who fathered her 2 oldest children. The 2 younger children, now those are the ones that are in court battling against one another over her estate. Now, her youngest son, I think his name is Kakaf. Her youngest son, Kakaf, he is the one that is claiming that a later will that was found in 2014 is actually her valid will. And that is the one that appoints him as executor of her estate. Her other son, Ted Cunningham, he is saying that the first will that was found, Ted White, her first son, Ted White, he's claiming that it's the first will that she signed or that she wrote in 2010, that is the prevailing will because it was the first one that she signed. And because the second will was found inside of her couch cushions, it shouldn't be a valid will. Well, the court has spoken, the jury has spoken, and they found in favor of the younger child, the younger son, Kakaf Cunningham, saying that the will that was found in her couch cushions in 2014, the later will, superseded the earlier will. And so Kakaf Cunningham now is going to be in control of his mother's estate. Now, the estate itself, what's included in the estate? I think it's $1 million home, and also income from her music royalties. Those are just a couple of the things that are included in her estate. It's not a whole bunch of money, but it's enough for them to fight over. So the jury has spoken. Kakaf Cunningham is going to be the one that's going to be in charge of Aretha Franklin's estate. Moving on from there, let's talk about Tupac Shakur. So Tupac Shakur, there's situations going on with his estate as well. Tupac Shakur, as we all know, famed rapper, poet, lyricist, writer, the list goes on. He passed away back in 1996. He was actually murdered on the Las Vegas Strip back in 1996. Up until today, the person who murdered him has never been found, identified, arrested, charged, none of that. Now, there's so many rumors or so many documentaries of who people believe had murdered Tupac Shakur and who all was involved in the murder of Tupac Shakur. But nonetheless, he died at the age of 25 back in 1996, and he died without a will. So when he passed away, his entire estate was passed on to his mother. Her name was Afeni Afeni Shakur. Now, when she got the estate, she didn't get it that easily because Tupac's father came out of the bushes. Someone who was never involved in his life at all, had nothing to do with raising Tupac. His father came out of the bushes when he passed away, and he filed a lawsuit to get a portion of Tupac's estate, probably half of Tupac's estate when he passed away. Well, luckily, the court said, the hell you are, because you were not involved in his life. You had nothing to do with raising him. You had no impact at all in Tupac's life. You were MIA. So you're not going to get anything, not a damn thing. So luckily, the whole entire estate went to his mother. His mother passed away not too long ago. And when she passed, I think she passed away in 2000, was it in the late 2019, 2000, somewhere around there, she passed away. Was it 2018? I think it was 2018 when she passed away. When she passed away, her estate, along with Tupac's estate, was inherited by her daughter, and her name is Sekiwa Shakur. So when she inherited her late mother and her late brother's estate, she claimed that there was a whole bunch of money missing. And she's accusing the executor of Afeni Shakur's estate, Tom Whaley. She's accusing him of stealing money from her mother's estate and probably also from Tupac's estate as well. She says that he's been embezzling money to the tune of $5.5 million, and she wants him to pay all of that back. So she's taken him to court. That legal action is still pending. Now, what is the current value of Tupac's estate? What exactly would she be inheriting if everything goes well? She wants more than what the current value is, because she claims that this Tom Whaley guy, the executor of her mom's estate, took so much money out that has left Tupac's estate at a value of $4.9 million, where it should be around $14-15 million, according to Sekiwa Shakur. So that lawsuit is pending. This just reminds all of us to get our affairs in order. It doesn't matter how much money you have, how much money you don't have. Get your affairs in order so that when you are no longer on this earth in the physical form, your family members, your loved ones are not battling each other in court or having to battle other people in court. Because I think it's really, really sad that Aretha Franklin's children were suing each other over their mother's money. But she did have a will. It was just an issue of which will was the prevailing one. She had two wills. Okay, she was super prepared because she had two wills. It was just a question of which one was the prevailing one. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.